The Minecraft world is a beautiful, flat slice of land, 60 by 60 million blocks tall, floating in the void. Or is it? I mean specifically the part about it being flat. If the Minecraft world really is flat, how exactly does the sun move around it? Or how do you explain nether fast travel? Even though Minecraft looks flat at first glance, there's clearly more going on beneath the surface. Which brings me to the real topic of the video, Wynncraft. Now, we can all unanimously agree that Wynncraft is a flat floating island, right? But just like with vanilla Minecraft, a flat world immediately raises some uncomfortable questions. Why is it floating? What is it floating on? Where does gravity come from? How do day-night cycles work? How would any of this function? First, we have to look at what we're working with. So the obvious first step is to measure it. If we divide Wynncraft into easily digestible rectangles with following boundaries, we can calculate the volume of each one separately. And if we add them up together, we will get Wynncraft's whole volume as 1,286,000,000 cubic meters. Now if we assume the density of water to be 1 gram per cubic centimeter and rock as an average of 2.6 grams per cubic centimeter, we can calculate the mass of Wynncraft. So if we add everything up, we will get Wynncraft's whole mass as 3,440,600,000,000 kilograms. This sounds like a lot, but if you compare it to the mass of your mom or the Earth, it almost looks like nothing. If we compare Earth to Wynncraft, we will see that Wynncraft is only 0.0000057 times the mass of Earth. I probably missed some zeros. It's 5.7 times 10 to the negative 13th power. That's smaller than my peak. Now, Wynncraft is way too light to generate its own gravity, at least not anything close that we see in-game. If gravity actually worked the way the island's mass suggests, jumping around would send you straight into orbit. Using the numbers we calculated earlier, if Wynncraft were a solid sphere, it would only have a radius of about 670 meters. Its gravitational acceleration would be roughly 0.00597 meters per second squared, about 20,000 times weaker than Earth's 9.81 meters per second squared. But here's the thing, Wynncraft isn't a solid sphere, it's a flat island. And its gravity clearly isn't strong enough to compress itself into a sphere. We actually see this in real life. Small asteroids can have basically any shape imaginable, but you'd never be able to find a potato-shaped star. I mean, there are egg-shaped stars, but it's completely different. Once gravity gets strong enough, objects collapse into spheres. So, if Wynncraft's gravity isn't coming from itself, it has to come from somewhere else. That raises another issue. If the island is floating and there's a force constantly pulling it down, why doesn't it fall down? Here's my theory. The Wynncraft world isn't floating on empty nothingness. Instead, it is swimming in a sea of void. Classic example. Water has a density of 1 gram per cubic centimeter, and olive oil sits at about 0.91 grams per cubic centimeter, so it floats on water. What if Wynncraft behaves in a similar way? The void is just an extremely dense gas, denser than the rock the Wynncraft world is made of. That's why the Wynncraft island floats on top of it. If you jump into the void sea below Sky Islands, you will take damage. This could be the suffocation from the extreme density of the void gas. For this, I propose that Wynncraft is located on a gas giant planet. The core of this planet consists of dense void gas. Above that is a lighter layer containing oxygen and other harmless gases, forming Wynncraft's atmosphere, the one that we breathe. The island itself is located between those two layers. This will explain why gravity exists and why jumping works normally, but also how the Sky Islands and the whole island as a whole keep floating without falling towards the source of the gravity. So, is Wynncraft round? The island we call Wynncraft isn't, but the largest celestial body it exists within totally is. You see, any celestial body that produces this much gravity as we see in Wynncraft simply has to be round, or at least close to spherical, because gravity likes doing gravity things. That's why things like planets and your mother are round, and not stellated trapezoidal non-octagonal polypentadodecahedrons. Now, that technically answers the main question, but something keeps bothering me. What about the portals? Wynn has the corruption portal, Gavel has the light portal, the silent expanse has the Dern portal, and there are possibly even more, like the Gateway Island portal. Is it possible to explain all of these scientifically? As I started working on this, I fell into a deep rabbit hole, far deeper than I initially imagined. But I think I found an answer. You may laugh at me, but I'm saying this with my fullest confidence. Wynncraft takes place in a 4D universe. All space can be defined using coordinates. The simplest case is 1D space, a straight line along the x-axis. Add another axis and you will get 2D space, and another, and we arrive at the familiar 3D space with x, y and z coordinates, exactly like we see in Minecraft and Wynncraft, conveniently displayed on the top right corner of the screen. Now, what happens if we add one more coordinate? We get 4D space. The problem is that our stupid little brains can't comprehend anything higher than the third dimension. So we will be using something called dimensional analogy. A 2D object relates to a 3D object the same way as a 3D object relates to a 4D one. So we can just drop one dimension and work from here. The clue as to why Wynncraft is 4-dimensional. We have to consult our good old friend, the 52 lines of dialogue from Realm of Light 4. Here we learn that Wynncraft consists of different planes of existence. Our plane is the physical plane, but there's also the plane of influence. My theory is that all of these are 3D islands separated by 4D space. Let me show you with dimensional analogy. This 2D plane represents the physical plane, and right here is another 2D plane, the plane of influence. The inhabitants of these islands are 2D creatures. They cannot comprehend the third dimension. Therefore, this 2D slice is the only thing they see and understand. Now, let's connect them with a small perpendicular line. This line goes through the third dimension. If something from the physical plane would go through this transition, it would feel to them as though they were going through a portal into a completely different world. But we as observers who live and understand the third dimension see that they are just going along the z-axis into another 2D slice of the 3D world. If we think about this one dimension bigger, we have two separate 3D worlds connected by a tiny tunnel. This tunnel would be the portal between Gavel and the Realm of Light. The crucial part is here. When going through the portal of light, it seems like you're falling down, but you're actually falling along the W-axis into a completely new 3D slice of a 4D universe. If we look at Realm of Light 4 again, Wynncraft themselves uses dimensional analogy. They represent the two planes as 1D lines and the space connecting them as a 2D plane. That's how I initially thought of the 4D Wynncraft theory. And note the phrasing used. It is difficult to properly present to scale, so here's an approximation. Minecraft already is a 3D game, so why is it difficult to represent it? It's because the universe it's trying to show is 4D. So let's recap. The planes of existence are 3D slices of a larger 4D universe. The physical plane sits on a floating island inside a gas giant. Portals act like tunnels through the fourth dimension, connecting it to other planets or planes, like the plane of influence. Using this knowledge, we can explain a lot of curiosities around Wynncraft. For example, the fantastic Voyage quest. What is Gateway Island? What are these void tunnels? And why does it connect to the abandoned mines? Well, using the 4D Wynncraft theory, we can easily explain it. Back at dimensional analogy. This 2D plane is the main Wynncraft island, and right here, at the edge of Jofash Docks, it makes a slight bend into the third dimension, creating a parallel plane just below the main Wynncraft plane, just with a slightly offset z-axis. Talking in 4D, this means that Gateway Island and the void tunnels are just a 4D offset slice of the main Wynncraft plane. It tunnels off from Jofash Docks, barely noticeable at first, and then goes into the fourth dimension, until the big portal at the end of the void tunnels, where a portal similar to the Nether portal connects it back into the main Wynncraft plane. We can even expand this theory further. Why is the Realm of Darkness dark, and why is the Realm of Light light? We can explain it using the fourth dimension as well. The process is quite mathematical and I don't want to animate all of it, so here you have the long version. But since the average Wynncraft player is a chronically online 15-year-old with attention deficit disorder, I will spare you the details. Math. The Sun is a 4D hypersphere, rotating through 4D space, sometimes interjecting other 3D slices, like the physical plane or the Realm of Light or the Realm of Dern, creating a day and night cycle. Since all of the islands are different W coordinates, we can get different day and night cycles across different islands, meaning the normal Wynncraft plane has equal day and night lengths. Dern could have much longer nights, giving it the nickname the Realm of Darkness. This, however, creates two problems. First, we can see the sun in the void, and under our current 4D model, it would completely disappear at night. However, this can be blamed on Minecraft's limitation as a game engine. The Minecraft skybox is not canon to Wynncraft. In Recipe for Disaster, we literally fall onto the moon directly above us, even though the vanilla Minecraft moon is a fixed skybox object opposite to the sun. I'm falling upwards onto the moon even though according to the skybox it should be over here. That proves that the Wynncraft moon is not the same as the Minecraft skybox moon. So in our model, the moon is another floating island, positioned above Wynncraft along the y-axis. It's just less dense, therefore it floats higher in the gas giant's atmosphere. The same applies to the sun. The real star illuminating Wynncraft isn't visible because vanilla Minecraft can't display it properly. If it were, it would appear in the morning, awkwardly slide across the sky and then vanish completely at night, sadly illuminating sunsets and sunrises. The second problem, shadows would behave completely insane. They would move completely independently from the sun, get bigger and stronger in one moment, and then seemingly shrink and weaken in another. Basically, those cursed distant horizons in-depth screenshots. This has been the 4D Wynncraft is round but also kinda not video. Thanks for listening to my unhinged ramblings for this long. If you have any questions regarding this theory, comment them down below. I'm glad to hear your input on this. As for this, I know, does any of you want this?